Congratulations. Happy Friday.
Happy Friday. Welcome to Over 50 Starting Over, everyone. I'm Barry Edwards.
And I'm Merle Garrison.
Wow, we're looking at February 18th already, which means we're Lisa and I are less than 2 weeks away from our Florida vacation.
Oh, that's a good one. I can't wait for you.
Yeah, I can't wait either. You know, my laptop, my MacBook, took a crap on me a few days ago. I'm to the point because I only use a Mac. I'm thinking about it because of the Florida trip, and it just occurred to me I'm going to have to see what's up with the podcast. Maybe we'll have to do one a day early or something. We'll see. But I've used my MacBook before out there to do it, and it worked out fine.
It did.
And I use it mostly for watching TV and stuff, to be honest. But it's my emergency work thing as well. So if I'm on vacation or just go somewhere with Charlie overnight, stuff like that, I always have that. But, you know, I have this 27-inch iMac or whatever here.
Yeah.
It's great to work on. I mean, trying to work on this 15-inch MacBook, which a lot of people work full-time on something like that.
Right.
I can't believe it. But so to me, it's emergency use only. So anyways, I go surfing the net looking for its replacement. I only buy them used because the new ones are between $2,000 and $3,000.
Oh, they're so expensive.
For a MacBook, that's crazy.
Yeah.
So I found a 2016, a direct replacement of my last one, a 2016 for $600, and it's coming Monday.
Okay.
So, you know what, man, if this thing, my last one only lasted a year before the screen for some reason went out on me, I'm going to sell it, the rest of it on eBay, because everything else is good. Somebody else, some company has a screen they want to throw on there and then resell the thing for $500. That's up to them. I'll get $100 out of that thing.
Yeah. Hey,
and so now my new one will cost virtually $500. Okay. I just sold my old iPhone 8 for $150.
Did you really?
Mm-hmm.
Hey, how did you do that?
Good question. I put it on, I got to tell you, with all of my experience of selling different things, Facebook Marketplace is the best by far.
I've heard that.
So I put it on.
Why do you say that though?
Well, I put it on eBay and Facebook Marketplace. Now, this is an iPhone is so small that it's easy to ship anywhere. Somebody in Texas wants it, no problem. So I put it on eBay and Facebook Marketplace, and it just gets more traffic, Facebook Marketplace. And so I said that about the nationwide thing because most of my experience is more local. I've done a lot of selling because of the other house, furniture and all that. I've sold a lot of stuff. And I would then put it on Nextdoor, OfferUp, and Facebook Marketplace.
Right.
Facebook Marketplace beats them all out.
Okay. Wow.
So yeah, there you go.
Just
as much
more
as
traction
we hate
on that whole thing. I've heard the whole thing, and I've heard it's pretty easy to do as well.
Oh, and that's true. The ease of use. Yeah, you can't beat that.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
So let me ask you this though. You know, selling your old iPhone, everybody's got this whole privacy thing and making sure that they don't share any information that they don't want to. And sometimes this kind of information gets locked in. Any concerns there? Because a lot of times these things just get, I don't know what to do with my old phones. To be honest, I got a bunch of them in the drawers.
There's a couple things. I had no inclination to talk about this, but those are good questions because I bet a lot of people don't know.
Yeah.
And me, I Google everything. And I out here at the Walmart out here, there's a machine where it's like a vending machine. You can put your phone in there, it scans it and everything. It tells you how much money you'll get back for it. Really? Like it analyzes the screen. Is the screen cracked? Does it work? And all these things.
Yeah.
And I did that with an old phone, and it said, this isn't worth anything. So do you want us to keep it for free, or do you want it back? And it's like, I don't know if there's a scam there or not, but I'm like, for free, because what am I going to do with it? You don't want to throw it in a garbage can because of the different chemicals in there.
Right.
So there
that's the whole
is that,
thing, right? Yeah.
But now to your other point, selling it on Facebook Marketplace, I highly recommend. And if to make sure that it's secure, like how do you want to give it to them? Well, you go to, and you could look up the specifics on Google. It's super easy, but you go to settings, I believe to general, and scroll down to the bottom, and there's an option for resetting your phone.
Okay.
So it completely wipes it out. So when you, even your password, so when somebody starts it back up, it asks, hey, welcome, it, goes, welcome to Apple. And then it goes through the setup process. So it's pure, it's clean. All your stuff is gone. Erased. Wow. Super easy, man. Super
pretty
easy.
Cool though that you got, what'd you say, $150 for your old phone? That's pretty good.
I started out with 200. After a week, I went down to 180. Another week later, 160, and then somebody offered me 150. I'm like, okay, sure.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah. Whatever.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's nice to have a easy $150 back.
Yeah, no kidding. Well, and you can apply that to your new phone, and there you go. I mean, these things are terribly expensive, and to be able to get $150 towards that new phone is pretty cool.
You know what? As I was looking to buy my new laptop and scouring different places, there's a great place. My first go-to is called B&H Photo. They're not, for whatever reason, they're right now not carrying used laptops. But it's such a reputable place. I really like it. So it's my first go-to. Amazon does okay with it and with those things. But there's a new place now. I'm trying to remember. Oh, God, I'm going to get myself all down this rabbit hole and then not be able to tell you what the name of that site is. But it's a really good site that specializes in refurbished stuff and mostly phones. And I got my laptop through them, and so I'm going to have to look it up and put it in the show notes. But they specialize in phones, and I would say that would be my number one go-to for new phones. Their reputation is immaculate. I've looked them all up every which way.
Nice. Good tips right there.
I'll put the link to it in the show notes. I wish I would have remembered that I was going to talk about this, because I got something else really cool I want to talk about up front here.
Oh yeah,
you look like you got something. You're looking.
I was just gonna say that last week we had some problems with my internet connection. Yeah, and being new and everything. So this week I, of course, procrastinated until yesterday hey, wait a second, I got this internet problem here. So I have a booster that I had in my old house that I just haven't connected. So I went to put that thing on. Barry, I fiddled with that for like 3 hours last night. And the culminating event was I shut down my internet completely in the house and couldn't get it to come back on. And I was in a complete panic. Like, oh my gosh, I called the internet company and they're, well, sorry, we're closed at this time, but you could call this number. Oh my gosh. And then suddenly the internet just came back on. I have no idea how that happened, but that's when I just decided, you know what, I'm going to put this aside for now. I don't want to make anything worse. And let's see what happens tomorrow. So we'll see. I got it over here. It's an air ties. I was all online looking at how to get it all set up. I thought I followed the directions perfectly, did that several times, but I still got like 2 blinking red lights going on that thing. I can't get it to work.
I have the exact same story. When we first started this podcast, I bought one off Amazon too, read all the reviews. Oh, this is a really good one for only about $20, as I recall. It's downstairs in the closet because I could not get that thing to work whatsoever. I mean, on 2 separate days, I spent a lot of time. I always do the same thing that you did. It's like, I better get away from this for a while.
Right.
Maybe the energy in the universe needs to clear, my universe, or maybe a fresh, clear perspective on it will provide something. No, came back the second day, tried it all over again, went through I'm telling you, 2 hours worth of frustration. And dude, I'm watching YouTube videos. Step 1, 2, 3. Nope.
I know I was doing it the right way. Yeah. And I was like, well, Then after a while, Barry, I just started pressing buttons, and that's how I broke the internet.
Oh, there's nothing worse than breaking the internet. These days, it's like losing electricity. You know, the old days.
Oh, it is.
Electricity goes out, and you're like, well, I guess I'll wait this out. I'll watch something.
Well, yeah, that's what happened. Is that
I'll just make something to eat. The microwave.
I'll just watch TV. Yeah. Well, that's it. As soon as I broke the internet, I heard Anne Marie's voice. Did you just turn the internet off? She was in the middle of a show.
Life comes to a standstill. Yeah, exactly. It's like, oh,
just man. Like losing electricity.
Just go outside and find two sticks to rub together. Like build a fire.
It was a full-on panic. Oh my God, the internet.
Yeah. Well, it does run our lives. You know what? That's going to be our downfall. One of these days are the cyber attacks. I mean, all the stuff going on in the Ukraine and
you're right.
And the news coming out of there is wacky. Let's not go there right now. But I think
you're right.
Threat is going to be online. Whoever really takes control of the internet.
Well, listen. I think I may have brought this up last week, but I we did our first show from this office off of my lap, or not my laptop, but my iPhone, the hotspot. Oh, right. But I had run out of my I guess it's like high band data plan.
Right, your data.
So they move you over to this low data plan or whatever. They might as well just shut you off because I couldn't. It would be like, let me look that up. It would take 5 minutes for it to populate. And it was terrible. So for like about a week there, that's how my phone operated till I got the internet. But I really felt like I was in the dark ages there for like using sticks and stones and, using drum beats to figure out what the news was.
It's and like the Flintstones.
And then yesterday when I blew out the internet, I'm like, oh my God, I'm back in the dark ages again.
Right. Hey, I got
terrible how we've come to depend on this.
Isn't it though? I got something really great I want to share with you.
Go ahead.
It's a YouTube video that I'm going to put the link in the show notes. I think I'll try to give you just a taste of it because it's something like 7 minutes. I don't want to play the whole thing, but it's a TED Talk about this guy, how I became an entrepreneur at 66. By Paul Tesner, just a regular everyday Joe. I'm just going to give you the summary of it. So he was a director of operations at a company in San Francisco. And at 64 years old, he and some other people were brought into this meeting and fired. I would imagine a cost-cutting thing. I don't know. He didn't explain that. But so he was a 40-year employee out of work. And director of operations, nothing to sneeze at, Mm-hmm. But nonetheless, he just said, but he was like many other people, unable to retire financially. It's San Francisco, for God's sakes. So he said, no, the natural thing for him to do is to go into a private consulting, which he had no passion for, and he absolutely hated it. And I feel for that. I mean, I think most people that have been lifelong employees really don't have that inclination to do these kinds of things. But man, this is what he did. This is just such an inspirational story. He said he wanted to start his own company. Like this slowly kind of his mind started formulating this idea to create a company that creates packaging from biodegradable waste. Yeah, he's in San Francisco. Of course they think like that, right? Packaging
from biodegradable waste. This sounds terrible, but I got a bad picture in my head. Tell me more.
Well, it doesn't talk a lot about other than the fact that, they obviously clean it, but so he said about starting it up though. There's so many things about a startup, from payroll to bringing on people. He said, but mostly funding. He goes, I'm in San Francisco competing against these young entrepreneurial tech people, app people for funding. 66 years old, never, got nothing to fall back, nothing to provide as a proof of anything. But he did. He got his funding for it. He has been succeeding with his company. It's a small company, but they're debt-free now. They're doing well. And he says he's doing the most rewarding work of his life. He's now 70.
Wow.
And yes, and he states a couple of statistics from the Census Bureau. He says older entrepreneurs have a 70% success rate, and younger entrepreneurs only have a 28% success rate.
I thought it would be around there. Yeah.
But I mean, this is mind blowing to me. And like I said, I didn't have time to find the perfect spot to get in on this video and show you the right 1 minute or anything. So I'm going to take a guess at it just to give you a flavor. But that's the gist of the whole thing. It is only a total of 7 minutes, and I really want you guys to go check it out. I'll put the link in the show notes. I remembered to share the sound, and away we go. Let's see. I don't know where we're at here, Merle, so bear with me.
All right.
We both got really silly drunk.
This is when he told his wife he lost his job.
So 40 plus years of continuous employment for a variety of companies, large and small, was over. I had a good network, a good reputation. I thought I'd be just fine. I was an engineer in manufacturing and packaging. I had a good background. Retirement was, like for so many people, simply not an option for me. So I turned to consulting for the next couple of years without any passion whatsoever. And then an idea began to take root, born from my concern for our environment. I wanted to build my own business, designing and manufacturing biodegradable packaging from waste, paper, agricultural, even textile waste, replacing the toxic disposable plastic packaging to which we've all become addicted. This is called clean technology, and it felt really meaningful to me. A venture that could help to reduce the billions of pounds of single-use plastic packaging dumped each year and polluting our land, our rivers, and our oceans, and left for future generations to resolve. Our grandchildren, my grandchildren. And so now, at the age of 66, with 40 years of experience, I became an entrepreneur for the very first time.
Dude, I love this
the crowd's
video.
response.
Oh, yeah, there's a
cool.
few
I don't know if
those.
I've heard a response like that during a TED Talk.
Right. And I just want to say, guys, if you're listening and you want to check this out, just go to YouTube and search How I Became an Entrepreneur at 66. And it goes by so fast because it's such a great story. But I told you the whole summary. And point being, guys, it's never too late. And he threw out another stat or two, but he said, you know, the older population, meaning the supposed, he said, you know, while everyone else is around me seeming to retire, I'm going in the opposite direction. A lot of people are. Let's not underestimate that. And the fact that we're living so long and everything, you know, and we are in a society where we spend more than we make often. So we don't prepare for retirement the way we should.
Right.
And so
there's certain places in the country too. He lives in San Francisco. I mean, have you seen what they're paying for rent out there? I mean, or anything out there. It's outrageous. I don't know how anybody could retire out there. So
you would think an engineer that was a director of operations for a large company could, but hey, you know, I don't know his situation.
You never know.
You could have a couple health problems that could just devastate you. You know,
true.
So I just love, hey, and this is for you guys over 50, starting over, for inspiration. If you have been thinking along these lines, and you know, you're constantly toying with, we're constantly our own worst enemy, talking ourselves out of stuff. Now that doesn't mean that you go into something half-cocked and then blow your life savings. Just saying that with due diligence, you can succeed at pretty much whatever you want. 70% success rate for older people. I don't know what older means. He didn't specify ages, but you look it up in the Census Bureau.
Well, it sort of makes sense that, you know, when you're that age, you don't really have room for, and also you got to make it work, right? When you're younger, hey, I can try this, or who knows what'll happen. You know, when you're older, you're more like, hey, we're gonna make this work, and this is how we're gonna do it, and then the experience that goes along with it. It kind of makes sense that you would have those kind of statistics.
Yeah, I mean, it kind of does, but it's also very scary for people our age to just go and start doing something like that.
We get so set in our ways and our routines and everything, and breaking out of our routines is pretty tough. I know that, right before my dad passed away, and we've talked about this, he was going to start his own business and and do something completely different, and he never made it to that because he had the heart attack. But that would have been a big transition for him to make, and really for anybody to make, especially coming out of a corporate type of a position and doing that all on your own. But so many of us are faced with these kinds of changes these days, and it's almost becoming a norm.
Right. Merle, I want to throw out a different new segment that I think will be fun. It's quick. Geography. The way it come about. I mentioned before my pastime to recharge my batteries between projects and stuff like that is to play an online game on Miniclip called 8-Ball Pool. It's billiards, right?
Yeah. You've been doing that a long time.
Yes. And I play people from all over the world, and you can click on their profile, and of course they have an avatar or whatever, but you see where they're from. And I find these places like I'd never heard of that. And so I Google in between while he's taking his turn, I Google it. And I'm like, oh my God. And I find all these places that are like, this one I want to share with you now is like became a bucket list type. Oh my God. Have you ever heard of Mauritius?
Mauritius.
It's a country. It's a tiny country.
I've never heard of that.
Mauritius. Mauritius. Okay. And I'm going to so this is what I do. I just Google it. I pull it up on the map. You see it here. You see the spelling over here.
Yeah.
You see that? Okay.
Yeah. Mauritius.
Now let's pull out, like, where is this? It's this tiny island right off of Madagascar, which is by Tanzania, which is by the continent of Africa. I am so terrible with geography, but look at where it is. It's in the middle of nowhere in the Indian Ocean, right? And so then I pull up images and look at this. It's really small,
beautiful,
a self-contained island. And
look at that.
It is a tourist destination. Look at this, Merle. How would anybody not want to go here? And it's cosmopolitan too. This is Port Louis, the national capital of Mauritius. Tell me you don't want to go there, but my God, the plane ride there would be excruciating.
Can you imagine?
But I think, like, look at this. What is this right here? 14 important things to know about Mauritius, Travel Guide 2022 update. This is Port Louis again, their capital. It's not very big. So that's pretty much what they got. I would absolutely love to go check this place. You could see the terrain. The water is so clear. Do you see the terrain?
Yeah, it's amazing.
I'm enlarging that. Look at that. Do you imagine what snorkeling and diving would be like?
That sounds, it looks like a paradise for that kind of stuff.
Yeah. So anyways, Mauritius, check that out. There's
pretty cool.
Little
so this person actually lived there. Huh?
Yeah. Wow. Could you imagine? Now it makes me wonder, and I would do this if I were playing that game. I'm sure I did it back when I first discovered it, but I want to know their government structure. I want to know how expensive it is. Is it safe? You can, okay, I'm going to do that right now because it is so quick and easy to find these things out. And let me just do this real quick because this is actually very fun and this takes seconds. Let me go to share, and this looks like it. And Mauritius. What country owns Mauritius? France. Oh, I didn't. I thought it was it's an isle of France. I did not know. France, all the way over there, they own this island. Was seized by Great Britain in 1810. Wait a minute. Okay. 4 years later, France ceded Mauritius and its dependence to Britain. So it's British. Oh, are Mauritians African or Indian? It's a multi-ethnic culture, groups from South Asia, notably India, sub-Saharan African, Mauritian Creoles is what they're called, European, they're white European Mauritians, and Chinese descent. Why is Mauritius so rich? World Bank officially classified it as a high income economy in 2020. Another reason is low taxes, including no inheritance tax or capital gains tax, making the island attractive to retirees. My God, I would love to retire.
I know, right?
Is it safe to visit? It is known for offering a safe and friendly environment to visitors and amongst the safest destinations in Africa. It's not really in Africa. I mean, very vaguely. So wow. What language? English. God, this is getting better by the moment. So there you go, folks. That's what I do in my spare time in between.
Hey, that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Well, that seems like a really, the more you talked about it, the more I thought I may have heard of this place before. I think that's a popular honeymoon destination for people. I can imagine that being a pretty awesome place for a honeymoon.
Okay, I'm going to type in airfare Cleveland.
$2 million.
And 50% off, of course. Cheap flights from 464. Sure, those are ads. Let me see this here. Cleveland to Mauritius and flights.com. I don't know if I've ever used that. Oh man, this is just pulling me down a rabbit hole. I don't want to.
Oh, don't you hate that?
Yes, I really do. Because normally I would type that in and Google gives me fares, boom, right there. Actually, here they are. Wow, God, it's a 1 day, 6 hour trip if I take multiple airlines. But they're all from 1,700 to 2,200.
Okay, all right. Could be a big chunk of change there.
I think, though, if you have the means and you save for it, that's something you're never going to forget.
I can imagine.
Retirement destination. I thought Nashville and Asheville were nice retirement destinations. Now I'm rethinking it.
Now it's Mauritius or Mauritius.
I'd say Mauritius. Yeah.
Mauritius.
I'd say Mauritius. Yeah. That's what I think. Okay. I got all kinds of other stuff, but mostly I wanted to, in this upfront section, make sure everybody had a chance to see that video, have access to that video.
Yeah, that's pretty cool stuff.
Yeah. Where do you want to go from?
Hey, did you get a chance to see the Super Bowl?
Yeah, most of it. Nah, not even most of it. I didn't watch the halftime show. I had no interest in it. I heard a lot of people say that it was a really amazing halftime show because it was like, oh, it brought me back to high school or something like that. But I never liked hip hop ever. It started becoming popular when we started college, right about that time.
Right, it did.
And so, speaking for myself, I was a little late to the game. I was already into the hard rock and stuff. So
right. Yeah.
So yeah, I had no interest in it. Go ahead.
I, of course, haven't really been following the NFL and had not watched any games at all this year, not one. But Sunday I had some time, and Anne-Marie was doing something else, and I thought, well, let me just turn this on for a minute and check it out. And I ended up getting hooked on it. I watched the whole game.
It was a great game.
I gotta say,
I fell asleep at the end, though. That's the problem.
I enjoyed the game. It was really fun to watch, and it of course took place in Los Angeles, so they were showing a lot of sights in Los Angeles. Gotta admit, I got a little bit homesick a couple of times. They showed some of my favorite places, and I thought, I could just drive there right now. No, I can't. So that was that part was interesting, but the game was great. I saw the halftime show as well. I do like, I have to admit, I like Snoop and Dre, and I thought, and I was kind of emotional watching the halftime show. It was actually the best one I've seen, and I thought it was pretty cool. I thought the whole thing was pretty fun to enjoy. It was a great game, came right down to the last couple minutes. And I heard that this particular Super Bowl was one of their best as far as most watched Super Bowls.
Wow.
And I also heard that
I'm surprised.
the playoff games leading up to the Super Bowl were some of the best ratings on those games, and then several of them came down to the last minute of the game to be decided. So I was kind of surprised too, and it was kind of nice to hear all of that kind of stuff. So I enjoyed the commercials as well.
Because of I'm surprised by those near our record-breaking statistics there. It made me wonder about the politics of it, because I would think that if you told me it was one of the lowest rated ever, I would not have been surprised, just because of the way things have been going. The Olympics, for instance,
right?
And but I heard nobody knelt for the national anthem.
Right. I didn't see any from my point of view. It wasn't a highly political or politicized type of an event. I mean, maybe leading up to it, but I that was kind of a refreshing thing for me. I saw some of it, of course, but it wasn't just in your face, like kneeling down and protesting. I did hear that Eminem knelt down during his performance at halftime, but I
heard that too, and people said that wasn't a political kneel.
I didn't think it was. I mean, people kneeled down for a lot of things. The anthem wasn't playing. He was doing one of his most popular songs. He could have been
somebody's trying to make something out of nothing, as always.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But overall, I very much enjoyed it. I thought as I was watching it that they had pulled the mask mandates out of Los Angeles, but because nobody was wearing masks, but they didn't. And it's become a big thing now in LA.
It is everywhere now.
There's 78,000 people all crammed together. The playoff game before it was just, Mayor Garcetti and Governor Newsom got busted with Magic Johnson.
Yeah.
But now everybody, and apparently it's the law that you are supposed to do that, and nobody did it over there. So now the big deal is wait a second, our kids have to wear these masks at school. And so there's a big commotion happening in California.
And there should be.
And meanwhile, we've got these bills that are happening in the Senate in California, where they're trying to they're still trying to push forward with this kind of thing. So there's a battle that's happening. I heard about a class that the whole school, when a few kids got kicked out of school for not wearing a mask, the whole school walked out.
Oh, really?
And this was in Northern California, and the superintendent ended up making a compromise and said, "Look, we're mandated to do this by the state, and what we're going to do is we're going to educate the kids on how safe masks are. But if they decide not to wear them, we're not going to kick anybody out of school." So,
step in the right direction.
It's interesting to me, and you and I talked about this a lot, about freedoms and how once freedoms are lost or given away, you don't just get them back. You gotta
fight for them.
A grassroots movement of the people to make that happen. And I'm very proud that these kids, I hope
there you go,
the parents are proud of these kids for standing up for what they believe in. And now you're seeing this across the world right now. Of course, the Canadian truckers out there, who, by the way, I read this morning, several of the leaders of that protest are being arrested as we speak. Have you seen anything of the emergency powers at Trudeau?
Oh yeah. I got some good stuff on that too. And I got a Jordan Peterson video where he interviews, here's some notes I took on it. Benjamin Dichter, representing the Truckers Freedom Convoy. First, I want to back up and say, I put a new heading in my notes called Woke Watch, which is everything you're talking about right now. Because I'm telling you, Merle, we said it like last week, the week before, the pendulum is starting to swing back. And people like when we're talking about the Canadians getting fed up, Trudeau is off the rails, man.
He really is.
He's really off the rails. And so California has always been right there along the same lines. And when the grassroots movement, which is starting to happen, starting with the kids, as you're saying, in elementary school.
Yeah.
This whole woke thing, which is all about taking your freedoms and not giving them back. We're not putting up with it, even in Canada. And I don't mean that as to sound derogatory to Canadians, but Canadians are really into the socialist kind of thing. And as they know, as we know. So, but this is sliding. This is like what Trudeau is doing is sliding dangerously into like, I don't even want to, I don't, certainly not communism, but
that seems like fascism to me.
Well, yeah,
very
I
much
can't
so.
think of the word, but yeah, I would say fascism. So I want to just skip. I don't know if I want to pull up this video too, and I certainly don't want to get copyright infringement. But this guy said in a very nice demeanor. It's a short interview, and I had the link to that. But he says in a statement about the movement's demands and how it's been misrepresented by legacy media.
It has.
Yes, he says in summary, we want all mandates ceased and the tracking app abolished. We want nothing to do with identity politics or racial slandering. And he made that very clear in a very nice way. I mean, it's been a peaceful protest the whole time. And Trudeau is, what are the things that he was, first of all, he's constantly trying to make a racial thing out of it. It's a page right out of the Marxist playbook.
You're exactly right.
So he's constantly talking about the Confederate flag and swastikas and Nazis, and it's not that whatsoever. We all know that. And trying to freeze up people's monetary funds, banking.
That's the scary thing. That
really scary
emergency power that he took over allows him to do something like that.
And that is the last time they exercised that emergency power thing was something like 60 years ago, but it had to do with death threats to politicians. I mean, it was serious stuff. Nothing like this. There is even, they said, like, if you got your dog, they said this to threaten people. And if you got your dog with you, we're going to get your dog too, and you're not going to get them back. Can you imagine that? What a horrible thing to say or do. Jesus.
Yeah. Who would gonna threaten my dog? I was talking to my son last night, and we were talking about, he's got a couple of dogs, and I was saying, when you have a dog and you're gonna get into your dog is gonna fight another dog, it's like, hey, I'm not gonna let any other dog take my dog down. I mean, if either that dog's gonna die or we're all gonna die.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Very true.
You don't mess with somebody's dog. Jeez.
Go ahead. Okay. Well, this bothers me is Charlie, he's 50 pounds now, but he's 8 months old and acts every bit of an 8-month-old. And and he's very submissive, really. He wants to play, he wants to jump on, he wants to play hard, but he's also the submissive one. Like and worse was when I had Lainey, the little gentle beagle. My point is, dogs always want to meet and stuff. And people with the bigger dog, and especially when they have two of them, this just happened to me 2 days ago. They're like, just let go of the leashes and, just surround your dog, and your dog's terrified. Yes. Lainey, little girl that she would get scared and bite. And now she gets her ass kicked, and it's my fault, apparently. I got to the point, I'm always like, hey, back off. And now everybody thinks I'm an ass.
That's how I was too.
Here's my point. I want to say, people, hold the leashes in tightly, nose to nose. Keep it nose to nose. And dogs have a thing too. When they want to dominate, they want to encircle your dog.
Yep.
And the other dog will get scared. And so it's not a good move. Keep it tight, nose to nose. I'm so tired of this. I go through it all the time, and people think I'm an ass. Well, you know what? It's only you with the bigger dog that when you have nothing to worry about, those are the people that do this.
Nah, that's true. I totally get that. And I had the same thing. And I got to the point where I just had to be very upfront.
Yep.
When I saw that happening is nope, my dog's not friendly. That's what I would just say that, even though she was the nicest dog ever.
Yeah, I'm going to start doing that. That's a really good way to go. And I got off on that tangent. You were about to say something.
Oh, I was going to share something. If you could give me the ability to share my screen.
What are you talking about? You have it.
I do. Oh, it was gone a second
Dude,
ago.
I just did it.
But it's this is concerning Trudeau, and I had just this little thing is this.
Everybody's seen this.
Is that right?
Yeah.
Even with Sun TV watching for any slip, he was asked which country he most admired and referred to China.
There's a level of admiration I actually have for China. Because their basic dictatorship is allowing them to actually turn their economy around on a dime and say, we need to go green as fast as we need to start investing in solar. I mean, there is a flexibility that I know Stephen Harper must dream about, of having a dictatorship that he could do everything he wanted, that I find quite
interesting. And they laugh.
Yeah.
They laugh.
Well, you got what you asked for. I mean,
a couple minutes ago, that was the word I was looking for, is dictatorship.
Yeah, and the caption is pretty good. When they tell you who they are, you should believe them. And we see that all the time in American politics as well. I mean, the whole reason that we're in a lot of the situations we're in is because of the politicians that we have told us exactly what they believe, and we voted for them anyhow.
Yeah. But again, another thing under Woke Watch, again, positive, as weird as this sounds, back to San Francisco again. The mayor there, London Breed, takes another shot.
She's a piece of work.
I don't know what to make of her. So she seems to be gearing up to publicly support the recall of District Attorney Chesa Boudin. If I say that.
Chesa, I think it is.
Chesa. Okay. Chesa Boudin, similar to the way she supports next week's school board recall. So this was earlier in the week. I have a follow-up here to the actual school board recall. But in an interview with an NBC Bay Area, released on Thursday, over a week ago, Bree publicly criticized Bowden, quote, "We need to start concentrating more on supporting the victims of this city than we are supporting, in some cases, sadly, the criminals." So this is, again, the Woke Watch thing, where these DAs are coming under fire. And as I have understood, most of these woke DAs are Soros kind of.
Yeah, they're all backed by him, right?
Yeah, and put in there. And make no mistake, his son is following in his footsteps. So follow-up story. Three woke San Francisco school board members are booted out in a recall election. Three bulleted points. Parents were angry over efforts to rename 44 schools instead of reopening schools during the pandemic. Yep. The woke school board, and I saw the list. The first two were Abraham Lincoln something and Thomas Jefferson something. Yeah. They're spending all their time wanting to rename 44 schools. Okay, also angry with the school board's plan to scrap merit-based admissions at elite Lowell High School, where most students are Asian. Let's explain that for a minute. Merit-based versus equity-based. Oh, well, it's all Asian, so now we need to lower the standards and inhibit the Asians as much as possible so that we can get equity based in there. Hey, I got news for you, folks. Asians are doing it right. We should study them a little bit and maybe put some things into practice, some incentivizing protocols into practice into our society and catch up rather than push them down.
I like it when you talk like this.
It really bothers me. I think this is the last one, but recall effort was bankrolled by billionaires and millionaires led by Arthur Rock, who poured more than $500,000 into the campaign. Now, Merle, let me ask you this. I did some thinking about this because this made me very curious. We're talking about in San Francisco. The millionaires and billionaires are backing to get rid of the woke people.
That's very, very unusual. It is. And you talked about Mayor Loudon. I mean, this person has been all over the board She was the one that was actually very much behind the defund the police effort until she wasn't behind the defund police effort. We saw it all on TV right before Christmas with all the break-ins that were happening and the mass looting that was going on. It forced her into that position where now she's got to act in this particular way. She's going after Bowden. You've got the ex-DA from San Francisco, Gascon, now in Los Angeles. He's got the same thing. There's a recall effort that's going on down there against Gascon. You've got crime through the window happening down there, and the people are not happy. They got rid of one of the immediate things that Gascon got rid of, another George Soros backed DA, and there's a lot of them here in the United States in all of our favorite cities. One of the first things he did was he got rid of the gang unit down there. We talked about this before, but Los Angeles is the home of the American gangs, the Bloods and the Crips, and you get rid of the gang unit down there and the whole place goes to crap. And that's exactly what's going on right there. Will the recall effort work? And who's behind this whole thing? I heard the same thing down in Los Angeles. Some multimillionaires are backing that whole thing. But why are they backing it? I think it has a lot to do with it's impacting their businesses, of course. And so they have to do something about it. But to me, it's too little too late. They should have been on top of this before. Obviously, defunding the police was a bad idea, and not actually holding people accountable, getting rid of bail. I mean, duh. And even during the pandemic, the governor let all kinds of violent criminals out of prison because he said that these people were in danger of getting the virus. And so it's just like unbelievable what's happened over there. The problem is that we don't want it to happen all over the place. They always say in California, what happens here in California will happen in the rest of the country. And that's why we have to watch California, because we have to be careful of what could come out of there and infect the rest of us. True.
I'm a little more hopeful about that. And I thought a lot about that. What these multimillionaires or stuff are going anti-woke. And I think you got a very good point that their businesses are being affected. But also I think, and I keep thinking about the Pareto Principle. And that is basically the 80-20 rule, which we say that loosely. It means let's talk vast majority versus small minority. Everything in the world and in the universe works upon this principle, even to the formation of stars and everything about to our economy, how 20% of the workers actually drive 80% of the production. 20% of the wealthiest will drive 80% of the economy. Everything works this way. In your day, your individual level, 20% of your effort drives 80% of your productivity. So that's when you're an entrepreneur, you want to keep that in mind and think about how you schedule your day and what you focus on, what you work on. But here's my point. So in this regard, I'm thinking about, okay, these multimillionaires in California, I thought they were all woke and everything. Well, no, I think 80% of the population has been driving all of this crap. I mean, it's just like in Canada, 80% of the people in New York are voting in AOC and Cuomo and people like that. Well, now back to California. Well, these 20%, let's say 90-10. Okay. The top 10% of these multimillionaires are finally going, hey, man, the masses over here doing all the voting, putting these people in, are wrecking everything. Let's put some money behind straightening this out. Maybe they're not as woke as we think they are, but they are the minority. Just thinking. Maybe there's some merit to what I said. I don't know.
It is pretty interesting when you put it in the 80-20 kind of rule, because what you see is and it seems like this when we watch our political system working, that 20% are the ones that are actually making stuff happen, and the other 80% are just standing around like, duh.
Well, so Hillary called them useful idiots.
Yeah, we definitely see that. Hey, speaking of Hillary, some interesting information that's been happening over the last week with this whole Durham investigation that's been happening. And I got to tell you,
most people haven't heard of that.
And the funny part of it is it's hard to figure out what to make of the whole thing because of course there's
you want to explain what it is because most people haven't heard of it because the mainstream media doesn't cover it, and it will go quietly away as quickly as it came, in my opinion.
So the Durham investigation has turned up information that was submitted last weekend that says that he has uncovered the fact that the Trump administration had been infiltrated by a tech employee to find so-called incriminating information linking the Trump administration election, electing him as president, and post-election after he was president, finding connections to the Russian government. And so this is a big deal. The former president came out and said that this is bigger than Watergate was, which if this is true, it is bigger than Watergate was. However, Hillary has come out and said that no, this is not really what it is. In fact, she put a tweet out that said Trump and Fox are desperately spinning up a fake scandal to distract from his real ones. So it's a day that ends in Y. The more his misdeeds are exposed, the more they lie. For those interested in reality, here's a good debunking of their latest nonsense. And she links to a Vanity Fair article. I don't know how credible Vanity Fair is, but inside of Vanity Fair, she's saying, there doesn't seem to be a lot of fact checking that happened over this whole thing. Number one, the conversation, this is old news, going back to this whole Sussman thing where they set the lawyer for Clinton that lied to the FBI. This is an old story. They're saying that Durham never once said anything about the White House being infiltrated. The special counsel also never claimed the Clinton campaign had paid this guy to go in there. And perhaps most importantly, the filing never said the White House data that came under scrutiny was from the Trump era. In fact, the lawyers for the data scientists who helped develop the data in question said it was happening during the Barack Obama presidency. So this just goes to show you, Barry, that, you never really know what the heck is going on when the news reports anything anymore. So my thinking on this is to really understand what happened. You've got to go to what exactly Durham submitted and read it word for word, which I haven't done, to really understand what's going on, because it doesn't matter. They're going to politicize this on both sides of the story, and we'll never really understand what the truth is until we actually investigate it ourselves. We're living in that day. We all have to be our own journalists these days.
No, you're absolutely right. The same thing is going in my head. I keep wanting to say Haiti for some reason, but I mean the Ukraine. What's going on there? Every other day, the media is saying that Russia is advancing, and then the next day they're not.
Right.
I heard Sagar say this morning, what are they doing? Are they all moving forward? And then the next day they're all moving back, and then they move back again. And
the most active army in world history.
They're just getting in shape. No, the point is the point that you made. His point was the same. You never know what to believe now. And absolutely not. And back to the whole thing. Hillary got away with bleaching servers. Okay, evidence. Bill got away with obstructing justice on the tarmac with the AG. Attorney General at that time.
Pareto.
They are, and not to mention many other sketchy things, they are Teflon. This story, which mainstream media is not talking about at all, it will go away as quickly as it came up. I promise you that. Nothing will come of it.
You know what makes me angry is this whole thing about the Durham investigation. They get a special counsel to go and look at this whole thing about Russian collusion. That was what, 3 years ago now. And what have we got? We got, this is still an ongoing investigation, and this is it.
I know.
This is it. Like, this is frustrating. I even look at, the Trump administration, where Trump, as he's campaigning, he's saying Hillary Clinton is a criminal and she needs to be investigated and she needs to be put in prison. And then as soon as he becomes president, that was a campaign promise that he was going to do that. No, it's gone. Right. And then a year after he's the president, suddenly she's a criminal again and she should be prosecuted. It's like, what? This all sounds like a bunch of BS to me.
It's all a bunch of BS. It really is. But back to the positive. We're becoming so aware of this. Look at CNN is down 90% of its ratings now. I just heard that. Yeah, just the other day. And that is probably from the pinnacle of the end of the Trump administration. Probably January.
That was their right. I think you're right about
2 months ago, probably.
Yeah.
And they're still trying to milk that into some kind of Pearl Harbor, and what else are they equating that to? Another thing, Merle, to this
Pearl
day,
Harbor.
I never understood because I was never taught it, the full effect of the whole Jim Crow era. I didn't really know a lot about it. I hadn't heard his name in 20 years, and now I hear it 3 times at least a day. At least.
Yeah, everything's Jim Crow. Oh, this is Jim Crow 2.0.
I'm telling you,
it makes me so angry when I hear that.
It makes me so angry. And I'm getting back to my point that they're trying so hard now that in all respects, the corruption of the media, along with the government, the woke thing, which is just Marxism complete. It's all being exposed, and people are starting to not put up with it in but in droves. I mean, when Canada rises to the occasion like this, California is rising against it. This is a good thing. And I think North America is having an awakening.
Here's something that kind of ties these things together, is a story about Black Lives Matter. And of course, Black Lives Matter is under a lot of heat right now because they got $60 million in funding or donations over the last year, and no one can account for the money anymore.
Right.
And when they go to the leaders to find out, okay, what happened?
I'm not the leader.
No one's in charge anymore. And so just
he went that away. Oops.
BLM hired an attorney who happened to be the same attorney who is in the middle of this whole thing regarding the Steele dossier, regarding this whole Trump and Russian collusion, which if you know your information about the Steele dossier, that whole thing has been 1000% debunked. Ridiculous what they did with this whole thing. But this attorney, Mark Elias, was the guy that totally was the center guy for the whole Steele dossier. BLM just hired him as their lawyer to talk about this it was $65 million. So the first thing they did is pretty shady. They were on a calendar year. They changed it to a fiscal year once they got this lawyer. So now they only have to go back a half a year instead of a whole year to be accountable for. And secondly, what they're saying is we really didn't get $65 million. We didn't get any. We didn't get any donations. And it's like, what? Okay, so to be continued on that whole thing, but everything we said about BLM to begin with, that they're really not the people that they're portraying themselves out to be, is all coming home to roost right now. And we're seeing who they really are, which is what Patrice Culler said. We're trained Marxists. And that's just exactly what they're turning out to be here. Well, we just had one of the BLM leaders he got indicted for attempted murder this past week as well. He tried to assassinate somebody running for government last week and was not successful, but I heard that he got bailed out, and now he's back out on the streets by BLM itself. So this is the kind of group this is. These people were responsible for burning down so many of our cities. none of them were getting arrested for that. And then you take a look at these truckers in Canada who have been completely peaceful. They're getting arrested.
Yeah. No, I think it's coming to a head. I think that's the positive we could take away here.
I like the positive thing. I really do. So I see what you see. I see the possibility of we've reached the pendulum point, and things should be coming back our way
quickly. Hey man, it's just like I said about CNN being dismantled and the schools with CRT being completely exposed, the trucker thing, all the masks, all the mandates, the seizing of power that our governments have been trying to do. Nobody's putting up with any of it.
Well,
isn't that cool?
It is cool. And speaking of CNN, you saw where Allison Goulast, the woman that Jeff Zucker was having the relationship with at CNN, and he got let go last week. Well, so Allison Goulast, I think she was the head of marketing for CNN. She just got let go here for violations to the CNN protocol. So she's fired as well. Another big hit to CNN. They're saying that it has everything to do with the investigation of Chris Cuomo for helping out his brother.
He retaliated.
Yeah, I think there's more to it. Did he really?
Yeah. Well, in that regard, like outing Zucker's affair and all that, which really didn't seem like a big deal.
No, and that's what I'm saying. I don't think these people got fired for that, because there's some under churnings here that they too were helping out Andrew Cuomo, the governor of New York, to advise him as well. I think that may be more why they got let go, but they're saying it's this whole relationship. But CNN, like you said, 90% of their audience is lost, and I don't know how they keep going. But,
I don't at all. I mean, you would think that even the biggest diehards would be like, wait a minute here, what's going on?
Yeah, right.
That's all they ever have on their TV, and I know people like that. You'd think even they would have to start going, why isn't there any news anymore?
Right. Where did everybody go?
Right. Do you want to start winding this up?
Yeah, let's do it.
I got some good stuff. First of all, there's just an article. I'm not going to share it. Just going to tell you about it. Belgium approves a 4-day work week. And I think that is tremendous. And
I do too.
There's a lot of reform that I think we need to do in the U.S., but we need to, and maybe it's happening, but we need to get on top of our corruption first so that we can have some of our money back for ourselves. Right. And there are trillions of dollars that we should have back. So, I mean, I think a 4-day work week would be great. And we should always have the opportunity for entrepreneurial, hey, work your butt off on that project of passion so that you can, become the next Elon Musk and all. And that's why we're the innovators that we are, is because we can do that. But I think that stress and anxiety and all these things, I think that we're in a day and age where we should start being able to spread the wealth like this and have 4-day work weeks. I think that sounds very humane. So I think that's very cool. Now,
and I also think that if you still wanted to make it a 40-hour work week, people would be willing to stay longer, come in earlier, stay later in those 4 days to make up for it, and have a 3-day weekend. I'm all for it.
Yes, I totally agree.
I got a quick one for you.
Yeah, go ahead.
I actually want to share my picture here.
Cool.
This guy right here was a good Samaritan, just jogging by this house when he noticed that there was smoke coming from the roof. So he went to the door, and they have this ring apparatus. The family happened to be out of town at the time, but for some reason, this woman says, for some reason, I just felt like I needed to answer the door on the doorbell. So through her phone, she answers the door. This guy explains, hey, there's smoke coming out of your house right now. She's got her pets inside of the house. She gives him the code to open up the door. He not only saves the animals. Meanwhile, this person's mother calls the fire department, and turns out that they had some damage to their garage. The two animals, the cat and the dog, were saved by this guy. And also the fire department is saying that 10 more minutes and the whole place would have gone up. This guy ends up saving the day.
Man, that's a good one. No,
it restores your faith in humanity, right?
It does. Wow. Yeah. I mean, and even technology, that Ring made that.
It hasn't gotten a lot of good press on Ring, but this is a good one.
I see a lot of good come of it when I've had a personal experience with somebody stealing a car from my driveways, Airbnbers, and they left the keys in it and they didn't pull it back inside the fence. It's an urban area,
right?
So bad on their
might
part,
as well put a sign on it.
But my next door neighbor has video surveillance that. Yeah, man, he basically has my house protected too. And we saw a video of the whole thing go down. And I think word got out in the neighborhood. Anyways, the same day later on, they found the car abandoned several streets away. I really think a neighbor knew who's, why am I going down that road? Anyway, so some good comes of the thing. But the fact that we don't realize that we almost always have cameras on us.
Yeah, we live in a surveillance society. That's
it's good and bad, good and bad. Yep. All right, I got a really positive one. You're gonna love this one. How a stray kitten saved a struggling restaurant from closing. These are the best photos, and there's probably like 6 or 7.
That is a huge cat.
It's a short story, so I will read it. A family of stray kittens helped save a restaurant from going under in Japan. And in 2018, this guy opened a miniature railway themed ramen restaurant. Is that how you say it? Ramen? Ramen. Right. Oh, okay. A miniature railroad theme models. So like many restaurants, when the pandemic hit about a year ago, his business was facing financial ruin. He was ready to face shutdown and give up, but he needed a miracle, and it came in the form of a stray cat. And guys, for those of you that are listening, you might want to look at the link on this one. It's just cute as can be. Seeing pictures of this cat laying within the train model, and it's really realistic. These models,
it's really realistic.
Yeah, isn't it? So it looks like a Japanese movie of.
It does, right? Here comes Mothra.
Here's a different cat here. It's so cute. In June 2020, a severely ill kitten showed up at the restaurant, and he thinks it was about 10 days old. So he decided to nurse it back to health. The next day, the guy sees another cat. It was the kitten's mother. So she began to visit every day. So he started feeding her too. One day she brought 3 more kittens. She realized what a good thing she had here. So now he's got a whole family of kittens going on. It was it was a financially difficult time for us, but we decided to help the cat family. Yes, we thought we were helping them, but it turns out they were the ones helping us. And the cats quickly.
Wait. Sorry, that picture of the cat's ripping the roof off of that
place. This is so cool. The cats quickly made themselves at home by lounging on all of the guy's miniature train models. And he started posting photos of these cats on Instagram. You could see this being a big hit right away. Okay, so now people are showing up from all over Japan to see his cats, and his business is thriving.
Oh, that's great.
Yes. I think that's a terrific story. I'll
pretty cool pictures. I mean,
very cool. Look at this one right here. It's probably the best one.
So realistic. Yeah.
Yes.
Because you're going to cross the bridge.
Yeah. These cats are really cute.
A kitty cat.
Yeah. So, that's it. All right. Nice. Let's wind up. And we are sufficiently over as always.
Of course. Yeah.
Yes. I thought we were going to end up like at about the 1 hour marker. 1:05, but never. All right. Well, let's go into the after show. And if we keep it clean, it will be showing up for you guys on YouTube right down there in the lower left-hand corner. And if we can't keep it clean, then it's only going to be on our podcast. So you have to subscribe to that, the audio, or see it on, I always want to say SoundCloud, Spotify. Our video is also on Spotify. I would suggest you guys sign up there. But if you simply go to over50startingover.com and sign up for our email list, you have links to all this stuff, to every one of these outlets and all of these things that we share. All right, buddies. We'll see you all next week.